Hey everyone, it's David, BreezeFlippers. It's the end of the year, last day. So how's your year been? So I think we've shared most of our year. So we've been trying to share and tell you a little bit about what we're doing and how things are going with us. But this is the final video of the year, and the sales this week have been solid. They haven't been outstanding, but we've sold some cool stuff. And so they're kind of trucking right up into the end of the year. So we'll see how it finishes out. But, it's always that lull between Christmas and New Year's that, has always kind of been slow. But we've actually done better this year than we did last year. So yeah, sales are good, just not explosive. But we're kind of finishing out this year feeling grateful, that we've had a good steady year. We're encouraged. We're excited about what's coming up. We did have some growth. I was talking about earlier, this year that we said we had a goal, of 30%, because last year we did just under like 29.8% growth the year over year. So we thought we could do that, but we learned a lot of stuff this year. eBay, as a part-time seller with the amount of time that we have in, you hit a plateau, and that plateau kind of hit us a little bit. And we kind of understand, that there's things you have to do to get past that plateau. So we changed our goals up a little bit and said, okay, we're going to add on some other stuff, which we did. We added Dibdit, Dibdit.com, and we're done really well with that. So we did about just under 12,000 in sales there, right? So if we add that to what we did, we actually had about a $42,000 increase, $42,000 in gross sales this year, which turns out to be 33% over what we did last year, because last year we only sold on eBay. So, we add in what little bit we did in our booth. It was a good year. So we had a lot of things we had to learn on this year. We had to build a big year, so trying to figure out what we want to do next. A lot of lessons have come up, a lot of things have happened. So I kind of want to reflect on that a little bit and talk about what went on, but not so much. We've talked about that enough, but just kind of what we've learned from it, right? And where we're going. So, and I think everybody today is the day everybody sits there and thinks, okay, what am I going to do next year, right? What did I do this year? So, we looked at it and think in our, we made a lot of wins, right? We've had some losses, but the good part about it is the wins that we had were good, and they were consistent, and we continually built some habits that I think over time is going to help our business. So again, it was a building year. We knew what we wanted to do. We figured out what we like to sell better than other things, comics, collectibles. We love doing that. We learned how to manage a little bit more of our energy and our time, which let's be honest, is a huge thing when you're trying to run part-time business and work full-time. I know that my work schedule this year is going to be a little bit tougher. So I'm going to have to work a little bit harder at trying to fit this in with our life. And, doing that is me letting go some of the things and letting Sheri do it. So, because my type A personality doesn't allow me to do that. So I'm learning to let go of those things and try to do a little bit better. So, like I said, it's just, everything's been a learning curve for us. And so like I said, this video might be a little different than normal. We are going to talk about what's sold. So let's talk about that, and then we're going to get into the rest of it real quick. But I do want to say we had some sales go out this week. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that I talked about these yet. So we're going to take a look at them. No, I don't think I did. I know I put a video out on Monday, but it was a little late because of the weekend and such. But we did have on Monday, we did send out 4 more Hallmark ornaments. I might have talked about these already, but they were the Lighthouse ornaments. Yeah, I think I did. $46 for that, and also sold a Super Smash Brothers Nintendo 3DS, which is cool because, as I said over the weekend, the 3DS actually sold, and we got really good money for that. So last week was a banner week. It was almost $1,000 in sales last week. But we did sell the Super Smash Brothers Nintendo and the 3DS as well. And then on yesterday, I sold some Fantastic Four, the 1 Ross variant set, which from 2022. So these were each, there were 4 comics in it, and each one had one of the characters from the Fantastic Four on it. It was cool artwork. Did end up selling that for $25.64. It went out with free shipping. But it's not a very expensive comic as far as fair market value goes, but I was happy to sell it. So this was something that was interesting. It was in our inventory, and it was because it's something that I used 15 years ago, maybe more. I don't know. When does the when did we have Apple iPods, little minis, right? So this was a 30-pin charger base from Apple, and it actually was a 2005 item. So it sold for $14.99, and we got $5.99 shipping for it. So it was just something that was in a drawer, and I was like, why am I keeping it? So that's one of the things that we did learn last year, is that we learned not to have any emotional ties to anything. We just say, hey, if I'm not using it and it's not bringing me joy, let's sell it, because it doesn't need to be here. Or if it's not something that sells, let's just get rid of it. That's why we've made so many trips to our thrift stores to drop stuff off. It's just because we've been trying to clean stuff out, because we know in reality we don't need it. If we're not using it, we don't need it. Yesterday, this is a good story, guys. This is something I've learned, okay? So in the past, if I'd have sold something that was of good value, I would probably be very tempted to take, an offer, the first offer that comes up. But I had the 3 remaining Nintendo 3DS games that came with that 3DS system. It was the Pokemon Lot Sun, or the Pokemon Sun, Omega, Ruby, and Y cartridge. And these were 3 of them that were left. I had a guy send me a $60 offer. I said, no. I go, that's, $20 a piece. They're worth more than that. I think they were closer to 30. I've seen them sell, each one individually sell 30 to 39, and that was without a case. That was cartridge only. So I said, well, I'm at 99, but I said, the best I'm going to do right now is 5% off. And so I sent out a 5% offer. Well, he didn't buy. He actually, I think he declined it. And then another person sends an offer for $70. I'm like, oh, this is getting close, right? So I'm like, but I just in my head go, you know what? I think they're worth more. And I did this without promotion, guys. I didn't promote it at all. So there's no promotions on it. And so it had 1 watcher, then 2 watchers, and the next thing I know, it's got 3 watchers, and the next thing I know, it's got like 7 watchers on it. And I got another offer, $78, and I got another offer at $90. And honestly, I was gonna probably take the $90, but we were out to dinner, and I was like, I'm not gonna mess with it right now. So so I waited, and by the time I got home, I'd had 3 more offers, and then somebody bought it at full price. So again, eBay, when you do that, they're sending out a competitive offer email that says, hey, a competitive offer has been put on this item, and it got sold $99, and it's getting $5.99 shipping. But yeah, it's sold, and I was like, this is exciting. So again, the same thing happened with the 3DS. I sent out an offer. I was willing to take the lowest I was going to take at that point was $265, because they had it listed for $279.99. And as soon as I sent that offer out, $265, it sold at $279.99. So don't be afraid to play with offers. I would say don't decline them if you can. I mean, even if you're only doing 5%, and that's what I was typically trying to do for a lot of these, but I was just thrilled to death that I got it for that. So $99, 3 discs, three little things, and this whole purchase was $10. Somebody made a comment on my video. They said I'm a scalper, and I was like, okay, whatever. If I'm a scalper, I'm a scalper. I don't see it that way. I don't think any of us are scalpers. We're selling an item for market value, so I'm not going to give it away. I got it for $10, and I'm proud of that. So call me a scalper. That's what I am. So I'm whatever you want to call it. So, but anyway, I call it a being in business and running a successful business. So you can call it whatever you want. But that was exciting. So anyway, hold to your guns, guys. If you have something, the value's there. I just wait. Especially if you got watchers on it. If you don't have any watchers on it, it's been sitting there for a long time, then there's a different decision on that. But for that, I'd say hold out. And the last thing that sold, well, actually, here are the games in case anybody wants to see them. So they are in a cartridge, so they're going to get sent out, but they're wrapped up, and I didn't do it. The last thing it sold, though, was this little bad boy. I only paid $2 for it. This is a Thomas the Train and Friends engine set from Percy's Connect and Build Train Bucket. So all the tracks, I think, are in there. I don't know. It's a cute little thing, though. You can build it up. It's got little scaffolding pieces, so you can kind of build it out. I don't know how the heck I'm going to ship it. I don't know if I have a box that size, but we'll Frankenbox something or do whatever we got to do to try to get that out. But I ended up getting $17.99 for it. It does get $9.99 shipping because it's going to take a big box. But I bought that at a garage sale probably in November, and I think I picked it up. It was either $1 or $2. It wasn't very much. So So anyway, I'll turn that any day. That seems like that's a good buy. So all told, we're just under $300 for the week so far, but it is Wednesday, right? So people will be sitting around tomorrow, New Year's, recovering from a great night of partying and having fun. Maybe they'll be sitting around eBay and be buying some stuff. So not too bad. When we start looking at the numbers, like I said, we ended up doing just at right 9% over last year. So yes, the year before that, we did 29%. We knew this was going to be a tough year because the years before that, to be honest with you, building up to this, we weren't doing everything that we could be doing. We changed a lot of habits this year. We changed a lot of habits last year to get us to this point, right? We changed up the things that we were selling. We were looking at, what the average sales price was. We were trying to grow in every way that we could and try to make sure that we're doing things. We tried a lot of stuff too. Made some mistakes, right? Made a lot of mistakes. That's just the way you do it. You learn from your mistakes. If you don't learn from your mistakes and you keep making the same mistakes over, that's kind of insanity, right? So, but we did learn from our mistakes. And one of the things, like you say, we learned is trying to find items that were a little bit better value. We're still going to sell low-end stuff. I'm still going to sell stuff that's, I'm still going to sell $9.99, $8.99 comics and, $7.99 comics. I probably won't sell $3.99 comics. It's just not worth my time and effort and energy. But, I'm still going to sell those. So, or we'll bundle up $3.99 comics and make it a $15.99 bundle, or something along that line. But there's things that we are going to continue to do. And we still do the low end stuff, but at the same time, we wanted to raise our average sales price, and we did. We went from $24 last year to $30 this year. So that's a big difference. And even when you start looking at the number of customers, we're down a little bit on the number of customers compared over last year, but our sales are up. So better items, better money. We're learning, right? So these are different things that we kind of learn on. We just got better at sourcing. I mean, that was really the biggest thing, and we took more chances on sourcing. We just would, the Pokemon buy, which I talk about, is like, yeah, it was expensive. I think all told $270, but we've made over $1,000 from it because I said, you know what, just want to buy it all. We're going to get it all at one time. Just go ahead and get it. Did the same thing with the Hallmark buy, and we made a good amount of money. I have to look at that at the end of the year and see what our total was, but that little Hallmark buy was a good buy. I mean, I think we were into that for 130, 135, something like that. But we made most of our money back, and most of it sold. We still have some Department 56 stuff left, but you know what? It's vintage. It'll go next year, and the ornaments are vintage as well. So maybe we'll find some more this year and add into it and do the same thing again next year. So we'll see what happens. But I've learned again what's selling, right? So that's the key, is what's selling. We know what's selling. So we did well, and I'm very happy with those numbers and kind of looking at it and saying, okay, we did good, because with that and our Dibdit sales, we hit our goal. So this year we set our goal again. We'd really like to be, we're shooting for to increase it by another 10% roughly, I think, so we have to come out and go look at the numbers, but we're going to really kind of sit down and put that target out there, because we want to set a goal that's realistic. And I think that's what the key is for 2026. I think you have to kind of sit back and look at it and go, okay, here's what I did this year. Here's what I'm doing next year. And I want to increase by X amount. And I think that's where the real challenge comes in, right? Is you try to figure out what you can do, because no one knows what the year holds for us, right? We don't know. We don't know the job economy and everything else that goes on. I could be unemployed next year. Who knows? I mean, it could happen. I wouldn't think so after 29 years with the company, but who knows? It can happen, right? So you hope things like that don't happen, and I'd have to find something else, or I'd have to figure out how to make this work. But we do know that things can happen, so we try to plan for all those contingencies and try to focus on the goal that we have ahead. Now, we can't change what's going to happen. It just happens. We had some health setbacks this year. We overcame them. We're overcoming them, and we're on the path, right? So we're doing the things that we need to do. There's just a lot of stuff that goes on, but it is, it's a good time today to sit back and reflect a little bit on what you did, and then look forward to what you're going to do. And like I said, I think, consistency in whatever you're doing is gonna beat chasing the trends. It's gonna beat all the different things that we try to do, that, copy someone else or do something else. We're not gonna do that. I did that in the beginning. Very, very beginning, I didn't really compare myself as much, maybe a little bit, but then I would say, oh, they're doing this, let me try this, let me try that, let me try that. It doesn't work as much as we like. Comics were something that I learned from someone else, but once I got into them, I really liked them, and now I'm really liking them. I actually would like to do a comic channel at some point with a few friends that I have that also are in the comics. I may do that very soon, but these are things that you learn. You learn things that you like, and you learn to stay with them, right? So, but at the same time, I'm not going to be copying everybody. I'm looking at and going, okay, what do I need for my business to make it go? Obviously we need inventory. So right now we sold off a lot of inventory. We need inventory. So this weekend we'll go sourcing. We're going to start doubling up on sourcing. I'm looking for new ways to source. I'm getting on Facebook more, OfferUp, Craigslist. I'm looking for items that I can buy in bulk or larger and sell out. So we're looking at a lot of different things. I'd love to be able to find replenishables, or I'd love to be able to find something that I can buy and do in a multi quantity. I'd love to find those things. I don't have as many of those, but I would love to have them. It's just easier to list, and it's just a consistent money maker down the road. So we probably maybe go to the Masters again this year. We hope. I'll pick up some merchandise again there and try that again. There's just different things that we know that we're gonna do some different sourcing this year though, and try to do some different stuff. So, so we've been, like I said, it's been one of those kind of years where we just really sat back and looked at it and, give that reflection again. Are we doing enough? Should we be further along? All these different things. A lot of those doubts kind of come into your head. And, at the same time too, I also saw a lot of people that were crushing it this year, and you're like, what are we doing wrong? But again, that comparison thing. And that's one of the things I had to really learn, to stop and say, okay, everybody is running a different race. I'm running my own race. You're running your own race. And that's the hardest thing to learn. And, so I honestly, so this is one of the things I reflected on this year. And I'm going to tell the story. All right, so I'm a child of the 80s and the 70s, but 80s is when I went to high school. I graduated in 84. So 80s music was my thing. I liked back then Duran Duran. So anyway, the song Hungry Like the Wolf is loosely made on a Native American parable. And if you've not heard the story, I'm going to tell you the story. Anyway, there was a older Native American talking to his grandson. And he tells him the story that says that inside of every person are two wolves that are locked in battle. You got the good and the bad, the evil and the good. One wolf is fear, doubt, anger, jealousy, and comparison. The other wolf is hope, discipline, belief, consistency, and purpose. And the grandson thinks for a moment, and he looks at his grandfather and he says, which wolf wins? And the wise old grandfather says, the one you feed. So, when you think about that, what does that look like, right? Are you feeding the right wolf? And, I think about that story, and it really kind of hit me this year in thinking about all the things that I've learned and all the lessons that I've learned. And what does it feeding the wrong wolf look like? Well, if you're watching other people's numbers, if you're really just concentrating on them, if you're comparing yourself to them or jealous of what they're doing, if you're quitting after one mistake, or you're getting frustrated and throwing your hands up and walking away, or, you hit a couple setbacks and you just kind of walk away, you're feeding the wrong wolf. If you're waiting for conditions to be perfect, I'm going to start this next week. I know I'm going to be able to do it next week because everything's going to be ready and set in place. If you're doing that, you're feeding the wrong wolf. Sometimes you got to jump right into it. So what does it look like doing the right one? It's listing one more item today. It's listing an item today when you didn't feel like it. It's listing two items. It's pre-listing items that put out for the next week so that you have stuff over the next week coming up. It's learning from your mistakes. Guys, we make mistakes. I made a mistake this week. I listed a Stone Cold Austin VHS, and I don't know why, but it had DVD in there. And the guy bought it thinking it was a DVD, and he paid $23 for it, free shipping. So he said, how do we want to handle it? And I said, look, it was my mistake. I just gave him his money back. I said, keep it, display it, do something with it. If I ever find a DVD, I'll let you know. The guy was so happy. He was thrilled. He was like, thank you. He goes, I appreciate it. I'm really sorry. I go, no, my fault. Don't worry about it. We make mistakes, guys. We can't be perfect every time. So we learn from them and we move on. That's feeding the good wolf. We set realistic goals. I could say, boy, next year I'm going to do $200,000. Not realistic. Not going to happen. I don't have that kind of time. We don't have that scale that we can move the business up like that. The scalability for us is a little bit slower growth. So we have to set a realistic goal. What can we really do? That's what our goal is. We say 10, 15, 20%, maybe, but we would like to be able to hit 50,000. That's what we want. So with Dibdit and with our other sales, we're going to work on that. We're going to put that goal out there and do our best to achieve it. And then, we got to show up even when it's slow, even when it's bad. So when the times are slow and nothing's happening, figure out what you can do to increase it. We got to get out there and do something different. We have to change things up, and we have to be continually growing and learning from what we're doing so that we can be better, right? So, I think, progress itself, progress doesn't really come from confidence. I think confidence comes from progress, right? So as you do things more, you become more confident in what you're doing, and you start doing better. So I think that's the key. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing this year. So like I said, we had our doubts this year on several times. We've had several days. We had some time in there where we were going and questioning ourselves. What are we really doing? Are we really doing this? I questioned myself with the YouTube channel. I get a lot of interesting comments, especially on the shorts. Who is this guy? And da 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 da. You know what? Those don't bother me. If you don't like me, don't watch me. If you like me watching me, if you had a chance to subscribe to the channel, please do that. We get a lot of views on this channel. It's really amazing. But not everybody's a subscriber. So, 80% of the people watching the channel aren't subscribed. If you don't mind, hit the subscribe, help us grow a little bit. Follow our journey, and we'd love to follow your journey. And I love this community. This community has been great. The comments that we do get are fantastic. And the people that are involved and really care about what's going on, we really appreciate you. And if it's not your bag of tea, just don't watch someone else. It's just fine. It's not going to hurt my feelings, right? But we appreciate you being here, and we appreciate everybody. So this channel was one of those things, though, where I was questioning myself, why am I doing it? And I think that was the one thing that maybe I'll tell you guys why I'm doing it. I'm not doing this to make money. I doubt it we make very much money at all on YouTube. And some people do it. They do make good money on YouTube, and good on them if they can do it. They've been building it for a long time. But this is more of an accountability thing for me, right? I don't write journals. I don't write a lot of that stuff. I've just never been a journaler. So I figured this is a great opportunity for me to put myself out there, and maybe my future families, in the years to come, will see this and go, oh, that was my grandpa, or that was my great grandpa. I think that's kind of cool, but it also keeps me on track and keeps me accountable. And it keeps me accountable to you guys, right? And it keeps me accountable to me, and it keeps me accountable to my wife and our goals and our efforts that we're putting in. So that's why we're doing the channel. And it's not for any other reason. It's not for ego or anything else like that. So it was something that I felt like I wanted to do. And I want to talk to people, and I love doing this. This is one of the things I really love doing. So, if I help one person, I've succeeded. So if I don't help anybody, then, it's not a failure, but this means I got to try harder to come up with better information and things that will help. So I'm not completely a teaching channel, guys. I'm not trying to say I'm the guru of anything, but you know what? If you can learn from some of my mistakes or some of my successes, then good. That's what we really want to do. So anyway, again, I hope that you guys be able to set your goals for this year, kind of start really working on them, really kind of talk about it. If you got some goals, throw them in the comments. Throw me what you want to do this year. I'd love to hear you guys talk about it. Let's get a conversation going. I am going to be making some changes at some point. I am working on a website only because I just want some information out there to kind of pull everything together. I've also been thinking about adding more community to the YouTube channel so that we can do some polls and different things. I'd love to hear what other people are thinking and doing. Hey, you know what? We're all in this together. If you're a part-time seller, that's the ones I'm appealing to. If you're a full-time seller, you may not be interested in what we're doing, or you may have some really good information that other people can use. And even if you don't have a YouTube channel, feel free to share it. We love to hear some of those things. And other people do read your comments. So read them and, get people to do some different things and try some different things. So I love hearing what works. Like I said, we don't compare or copy, but we get ideas from a lot of people and a lot of things. So we learn. Like I said, I devour YouTube channels all the time. I'm always looking to see what other people are doing or trying to learn. You know, if I can pick something up that works, great. You know, if I can change it to make it work for me, that's even better. But you know, that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to grow, and we have to learn through our own efforts and through other efforts as well. And that's the best way to learn. So again, thank you for everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for following us on this journey, for being part of it. You know, I hope your 2026 is fantastic. I hope everybody has a safe and successful year. And I think, you know, if we put our efforts out there and we do it, we will. So here's to feeding the right wolf in 2026. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm David BreezeFlippers. We'll see you.
BreezeFlippers on the scene. Bright sun, smooth screen. Click, flip, ship, it's clean. We ride the tide, we chase the dream. From the beach to the bin, we're digging gold. Finding treasure in the things you sold. Retro finds and gear so tight. We flip it fast, ship it right. Got that Florida coast glow. Sipping deals like whoa. Online hustle in tow. Now hit that subscribe, let's go.